So it's finally time for us to talk about the Apple Watch SE 2 and compare it against the Apple Watch Series 7 and see which specific model is the better one for you. Now, this is very interesting because unlike previous years, the Apple Watch SE 2 actually does have a newer chipset than the current Series 7, and it has the same chipset as the Series 8. So I'm hoping this is how Apple's going to be doing it in the future. So there are, several advantages for the Apple Watch SE 2, but there are, I would say, a lot more advantages for the Series 7. So definitely keep that in mind. If you want to pick up either one of these watches, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there. You can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these watches, the Apple Watch Series 7, which came out last year, has two different sizes, and they're both bigger screen sizes than the SE 2. So keep that in mind. The Series 7 has a 41mm base model, then a 45mm, base model or top tier model for that one. The SE 2 is 1mm smaller than the Series 7 for, both counterparts. So it goes 40mm and then 44mm. Now, is that a big deal? Honestly, not really. It is a nicer display with a bigger display on the Series 7, but if you don't really care about that, and if you don't really think the display is that big of a deal, then I would think an SE2 display is perfectly fine. When you start looking at the Series 3, that's probably when things start looking a little older, but regardless, I think the SE2 has a good display, but the Series 7 definitely kind of looks like a better watch, but I don't really think it's that big of a deal. Now, they both have the same type of digital crown, they both have the side button that's the same, they both have the same type of chargers, the same bands will work on both, which is really nice. They both realistically are probably going to have a lot of the outside features the same too. Now, you do get an always on display on the Apple Watch Series 7, so that is actually really nice. The SE2 does not have an always on display. I don't really think it's that crazy big of a deal, but they go up to 1000 nits on both, but the display is going to be overall better and give you a better experience on the Apple Watch Series 7 than probably on the Apple Watch SE2, to be honest. Now, internally, with the chipset differences, with the longevity of both these, it's going to be kind of tough to tell right now, but I would probably tell you the Apple Watch SE 2 is probably going to outlast the Apple Watch Series 7 by about a year. Now, that's pretty crazy because the SE2 is, a cheaper budget watch, I think at $249. The Series 7 was costing $399, but now that it's, a little bit older, you can probably pick them up in the used market, probably around $300 to $250, probably around the same price as an SE2. So because of that, it may make a little bit more sense to buy a Series 7 in that case, but with the S8 chip in the SE2, it may mean that the SE2 is going to last longer in terms of software longevity than something like the Apple Watch Series 7. So again, time will tell here. I guess we're going to see what happens, but if I had to guess, that's probably what I end up assuming in this specific case. Now, with that S8 chip, you are getting some cool features. You're getting, the blood pressure monitoring, you're getting high and low heart rate, notifications. You have, both an LTE and GPS model on both. You have 32 gigabytes of storage built in. You still have, the ability of checking your messages and phone calls and steps and, all that stuff. So a lot of the core features are still exactly the same on both. Really, the main advantage with something like the Apple Watch Series 7 definitely comes in the, blood oxygen sensoring. So you don't have that on the SE2. None of the older Apple Watches kind of have it. I think from the Series X onwards, they have it. Other than that, the Series 7 is really the go-to one that still has a lot more features built in. So you have the blood oxygen sensor, which is really cool. So if you're into monitoring that kind of stuff, well, you can go ahead and, detect that with that specific watch, which is really awesome. Now, you also have things like water resistance up to 50 meters on both. You have the U1 chip inside of the Apple Watch Series 7, where the, Apple Watch SE2 has a W3 chip. And that U1 chip does allow you to get, a little bit more capability, I would say, for the long term. So that is another really big advantage that we have on something like the Apple Watch SE2. Now, on top of that, you're getting fast charging time, which I guess is a feature for the Apple Watch Series 7. And realistically, when it comes down to it, those are some of the main features that when I look at both side by side, that's kind of what you were getting with an Apple Watch Series 7. However, I don't want to just give the impression that the Apple Watch Series 7 is the one you need. For me personally, I still use an Apple Watch Series 4 on an every single day basis. I use it with my iPhone 13 Pro, and I'm probably going to end up using it with my 14 Pro as well. And the main reason for that is because I don't really take advantage of everything within my Apple Watch. My Series 4 is more than enough for me, and really anything I'm going to be doing is going to be completely fine. So that is a really big thing to keep in mind. You don't necessarily have to go from, an Apple Watch Series 7 to an SE2 or vice versa, because these things are very similar. If I personally had to choose one, I would probably end up choosing something like the Apple Watch Series 7. I feel like this is more of a flagship. It's probably going to bring you, give you more to the table, whatever that saying is. And I think that's a very, very important thing. If you want to pick up an Apple Watch, this is the one I would probably recommend buying. If you can afford the Series 8, I would recommend going that route. I don't really think the Ultra is probably necessary for everyone, but the Series 7 is a really good middle ground, but the Apple Watch SE 2 is tremendous because it's the cheapest Apple Watch, or one of the cheapest Apple Watches you can buy when you just walk into the Apple store and you want to pick up a watch from there. I think that is a really awesome thing, and by having an Apple Watch like the SE 2, you're actually going to be getting a very solid watch with a ton of capability built in. So even though you're not getting all the features as a Series 7, I definitely do think that's totally okay. You can get an SE 2 and be perfectly fine with the rest of, the longevity of that device. So when it comes down to it, this is basically how I break it down. If you are planning on using an Apple Watch for the next several years and you're planning on, utilizing it to its full potential and you need all these cool features, I think the Series 7 is probably the better way to go. But only if you're comfortable either buying it in the certified refurbished market or buying a used one, because I don't think Apple's selling them brand new anymore, unless you walk into a Walmart or Best Buy and they're still selling them, from leftover stock. For everyone else, if you just want to go have just no frills, you just want to go into a store and buy whatever one you want, the Apple Watch SE 2 is probably the better way to go in that standpoint. So that kind of covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.